Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your astro weather girl here with this week's astro weather report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. In my videos, I use both Vedic and traditional Western techniques with tropical astrology, not sidereal astrology. I also use the traditional system of whole sign astrology for my analysis. You can use this video to the best of your advantage by listening to the introduction to understand what the week holds for you, and then going to the timestamps for your sun, moon, and rising sign to get a more personalized forecast for the week ahead. Astrology is not designed to scare you. It's designed to give you information so that you know what the good and the challenging energies in the week ahead will be, and you can therefore consciously work with them to the best of your advantage. Remember, knowledge is power. Now, there are scammers about, and so if you should receive a message from me on any platform requesting your money for a reading, know that it is a scam. Report them immediately. And now settle in and let's see what the astral skies have in store for the week ahead. Hello, my YouTube family. It is with so much delight that I am with you this week to talk about one of my favorite topics in all of astrology, the planet Uranus. Is there a planet like it? No, there is not. And we are under Uranus's influence, particularly this week. So we're looking at the energies now that are playing out between the 20th of January to the 27th of January. Before I kick in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to go into the draw to win a solar return or a year ahead report, as it's sometimes called, a year ahead report to determine what's coming up for you in the year ahead. So every month I pick one person out of the comments section who's liked, shared, and subscribed, and let me know in the comment section that they've done so. And they're the lucky winner. And I draw one every month, so I have yet to look at who the winner for January is. Make sure you get your entry in by liking, sharing, and subscribing to this channel. So the energies this week, we are looking firstly at Venus moving into Capricorn. Now this is happening. Here's Capricorn down here. Venus has been in Sagittarius, and on the 23rd of January, she's going to move into the sign of Capricorn, from Sagittarius to Capricorn. Now, Saturn rules Capricorn, and Saturn is a friend to Venus, actually. So while we might initially think this might be a difficult placement for Venus to be in Capricorn, a rather subdued sign, considered to be not very emotional, or a bit reserved, a bit cool, whereas Venus is a planet that's highly, connected to our emotions. The moon rules emotions, but Venus is an emotionally based planet as well. So while we might initially think this is perhaps not the best place for Venus to be, the result of this transit through a friend's house for Venus can end up being very pleasing and can often bring in things that last for the test of time, last for the long term. Love is Venus, and long-term things that grow and evolve over time, are a Capricorn thing. Endure, persevere. There's stamina with Capricorn. There's great endurance with Capricorn, and Venus can bring love that can last for the long term. With Venus in Capricorn, we want loyalty in our relationships. We want beauty in our structures. Often Saturn-Venus combinations result in people who are very interested in architecture, design, and aesthetic beauty. Landscape design or industrial design, furniture and things like that. Venus in Capricorn wants classic, stylish pleasures. Some of us with Venus in Capricorn here might even find a new love. Venus is the things we love. A love of work, duty, and responsibility. Hello. It's a great sign if you have any commitments in the realm of love planned for this sojourn. Wink, wink. Whatever manifests now, though, my friends, whatever arrives in our life for the next sort of month or so while Venus is roughly here, whatever arrives in our life with regards to love, beauty, finances, it can tend to be with us, like I said, for the long term. So make your life as beautiful now in every way that you can, so that that beauty and all its blessings and goodness and fruits stay with you for the long term. So that's January 23rd. Then on January the 25th, we have a full moon in Leo at 5 degrees. Now I am using American times here for this reading, just so people know. So we're looking at the full moon, and this will form at 5 degrees of Leo opposite the sun at 5 degrees of Aquarius, because on the 20th of January the sun and Pluto moved into the sign of Aquarius, which we talked about in last week's video, and how important and impactful that's going to be. If you missed that video, check it out. It's one of the key events for this year. So this full moon is going to be very important because it's following on from this shift into Aquarius that Pluto and the Sun have made together. Now I want to point out that in this calendar year, there is actually no full moon in Cancer. None in 2024. Why? Because the last full moon occurred in December 2023 in Cancer, and there won't be another one until January 2025, according to calendar year. So we have no full moon throughout the calendar year of 2024 in Cancer. I find that fascinating, and I'm a bit sorry for all you Cancer people who are looking for a full moon this year in your sign and all the fruition that it brings. Cancer, well, all full moons represent the fullness of something, the completion of something, the manifestation of something that you've been desiring. And of course, we all have Cancer somewhere in our chart, and that's what it pertains to, the house that is Cancer in whole sign astrology. So that's a bit of just a little tidbit of information that I observed that I thought was quite intriguing. But we are looking on the 25th of January at a full moon between the sun. Let's draw it in between the sun and the moon, Aquarius to Leo. Now I've got a whole video about this coming up this week for my Patreon family. I'm going to talk about any fixed stars and lunar mansions that come into this full moon energy. I'm going to talk about the health health ideas we can apply, the gardening that we can do under this full moon. I'm going to talk about the key influences, areas to direct your attention and energy to be most successful. So much that I discuss, plus the breakdown for each sign regarding this particular moon. So you don't want to miss this one coming up in this week for the Patreon family. But the mantra for this full moon is that I accept myself for who I am in this moment, and I have the fire of God within me. That's our mantra that we're looking at for the full moon in Leo. Then on the 26th of January, we've got the sun in a square to Jupiter. So the sun will tootle along through Aquarius and reach, I think it's, let me check the degree, bear with me. It's 4 degrees of Aquarius and 4 degrees of Taurus, and we've got this square aspect between the sun and Jupiter on the 26th of January using US times. So even though this is a heavy aspect, it's a square, so it's a hard aspect, it can still bring good things into our world, only kind of with a dose of the too much of a good thing vibe. So lucky opportunities can knock at your door. Vivacity and enthusiasm for life might be in abundance, and good-natured smiles greet your every interaction. But just the same, we can feel somehow discontent with the status quo, greedy for more than our fair share. We can even take that greed to the next level and wind up regretting any overindulgences. Too much chocolate, or too much watching Netflix, or spending too much time lying out in the sun and we're burnt to a crisp. Just too much of a good thing is what we get with this energy. So try to remember, my friends, to pare back just a little. Subdue your hunger and your desires, just a tad, just a fraction, practicing, as the Apostle Paul referred to it, contentment in all circumstances. Try and mitigate that hunger for more, that insatiable appetite, and you'll find that you'll come out of this energy actually blessed rather than, annoyed at the sunburnt skin that you've got or something. You'll come out nice and golden brown and without that red tinge that I always get when I lie out in the sun. All right, now the energy that I really want to talk about this week. This is where our all signs breakdown is going to focus, and we're looking at Uranus turning direct. Hello, on the 26th. I can't wait. This is going to be fabulous. D for direct, my friends. Digging it. I've been waiting for this energy for 5 to 6 months since Uranus went retrograde. So now that he's turning direct on the 26th of January, our intuition, our sense of rebellion and our sense of independence, they flow more naturally. They flow with ease now rather than feeling restricted or bottled up or held within. And it's going to be so interesting with Uranus turning direct to see what then happens in Germany, where God bless the farmers and the truckers who are protesting against the ridiculous rules that will see us all starving. You know, the government would rather see us all go hungry than to have farmers doing their work and being respected for the work that they do and honoured for the work that they do. I'm over it. I'm from a farming family myself, and we know, like, oh golly, here I go again on my bandwagon, but we know how maligned rural cultures have been in neoliberalistic times. You know, we've been overlooked, everything's been centralized to the big cities, and we've lost so much community fabric, we've lost so much of our the structures that held, you know, rural communities together and made them flourish. And back in the 1920s, Australia had 80% of its workforce in country areas, in agriculture. Now it's the reverse of that. We've got 20%, and we're often a minority group overlooked. And of course, with this push towards bullshit globalization, this is me being Uranus direct, folks. This is what it looks like. The push towards globalization at the expense of the necessities of human beings to eat and eat well, eat fresh, eat pure, eat whole foods. You know, this push to get farmers off the land so Bill Gates can control everything. I'm sorry, but fuck that. So Uranus turning direct, I'm so keen to see what it's going to bring with regard to our German farmers and their fabulous protest. You go, guys. If you're a German farmer watching this, I love you, and keep going. We're so proud of you. We're so proud of you. Calm down, find my zen. Right. For the last 6 months, so you can see what Uranus is going to do, because I'm very Uranian. I have Uranus with my moon. I'm kind of Uranian all the time. So I love it when Uranus turns direct, because I really start to feel into that great Uranus vibe. And for the last 6 months, humanity, or 6 months, 5 to 6 months while Uranus has been retrograde, humanity and certain individuals have been much less self-aware. And we have all struggled to find equality, freedom, and truth. It's been impaired, you know, and it's been blocked, because that's what Uranus is all about. And when Uranus is retrograde, it's internalized. We sort of hold it inside rather than put it out there. And that's why I keep mentioning the German farmers, because they are taking action. They're kind of almost in contradiction of the Uranus retrograde energy, because when Uranus is direct, then we put it out there and we go protest and what have you. So that's why I'm so interested, because there might be like a big wave of energy that comes forward now to support those farmers and to cheer those farmers on, because they've been doing all these protests in Uranus retrograde season, and now they're about to get the wave of blessing and support for their cause that's going to come from Uranus direct. Uranus is about truth. Uranus is about freedom. It's about authenticity and getting real. I love it. So no more impairment of equality, freedom, and truth. Now it really rises up. And you can rise up during Uranus direct energy, which is going to last sort of 6 to 7 months now. You can rise up into your independence and your autonomy, my friends. Stand firm against tyranny now. Let's get on it. Find the truth that will set you free in whatever realm of life you're living, that you need freedom, that you need authenticity, that you need to be in your independence. And let your need for personal authenticity drive you forward during this very empowering 6 to 7 month period while Uranus moves forward. Thank you, Uranus, the sky god and great liberator, for all that you're going to bring and the energy that it's going to now give to the planet. I'm excited. I can't wait to share about this for all signs in the All Signs Breakdown. But before we get to this, there's one more energy this week before we hit the 27th. Well, this one's actually occurring on the 27th. That's US time, not Australia. I'm not using Australian time for this particular video. The majority of my audience are in the US, so I'm tailoring this to the US times. 27th of January, we have a conjunction down here of Mercury and Mars. But boom, let me put it on the board so it's clear. Here is Mercury and here is Mars in Capricorn, no less. Is your brain going bonkers on the 27th of January? Well, this is an energy for heightened stimulation of our thinking, of our speaking, of our learning and our mental processing, but it's kind of overload. Like the conjunctions are kind of a mixed bag of energy, if you like. They're sometimes good and sometimes heavy. But this is an interesting one. So what happens is Mars is going to energize, because Mars tends to energize whatever it comes into contact with. Mars is going to energize Mercury, the thinking, the speaking, the learning, and we're going to be buzzing. But it's like almost overload. Unfortunately, this combination also has a reputation for being a bringer of aggressive, argumentative, and rude verbal interactions as well. So keep this in mind, because you might start to notice people are flipping you off down the street and not saying thank you and being gruff and horrible when you hold the door open for them in a cafe. God, it happens to me all the time. Just aggressive, cranky ass people. And we might be tempted to think, oh, that's Uranus Direct. And now people are just rebellious and sticking it to the man and sticking it to me at the same time. No, it's coming from, if you're experiencing aggression, it's coming from on the same day, this Mars Mercury conjunction. So don't be surprised at that happening. It's not going to be like that for the next 6 months. It's just the energy of these two tangoing together. Now, our nervous tension can be somewhat edgy as well. We're a little bit snappy. We put our foot in our mouths, you know. We jump in too quick with a retort without listening to what's being said. It pays to learn to listen with this combination. It pays to allow time to think and mull before you speak. Remember that on the 27th of January, when this energy is exact, we have free will. We can choose our words for good or for ill. So why not channel your words, my friends, into verbally fighting for a just cause, verbally protesting some loss of freedom in the world, or something that needs your justice, your words of justice, standing up communicatively for those who are unable to. And I'm not talking about being a keyboard warrior here. Fuck them. Excuse my language. I'm really feeling in the zone of this Mercury. Not Mercury. Maybe I am in Mercury Mars with the swearing, but I'm really feeling like the energy of Uranus coming. Here we go. It's going to go direct and it's all going to happen. I'm excited. But no keyboard warrioring. Let's get out there and stand with the German farmers. Let's stand with the people protesting other important political things in the world, and you know the political thing that I'm talking about. I have an opinion on that one, that other political hot issue that is currently unfolding. I have a very decided opinion around that, but I'm keeping it to myself because I know that it will cause a lot of tension in my comments section that I really want to avoid. So that said, you can all take a guess. You can all imagine what my position on that other hot issue might actually be. You've got to be so diplomatic as an astrologer, really, you know, and respect that we're all on an energetic journey of our own. And, you know, there are many issues. There are two sides to every story, not that other hotbed issue. That's, to my mind, not two sides to that story, but often there is, and we need to really allow space for other people to experience and learn what they're here to experience and learn, and not just be shouting each other down. I'm so sick of cancel culture. I'm so sick of people absolutely annihilating the opinions of others instead of listening, being interested. Well, why do you think that way? What's caused you to come to that conclusion on your journey? And how do you see that as being, you know, your opinion being relevant and important in the world? Like, if we just took time to listen to other people and consider other people's opinions, like not just listen to others and then, you know, and then them not listen to us. There needs to be give and take. But imagine, you know, if we actually had some heartfelt consideration of the varying opinions and ideas, then I would just love to see less tension in the world, less of the the judginess, less of the condemnation, less of the cancel culture, and more compassion in most issues. With most issues, there's times when things are just disgusting, and we all need to, get upset about certain things. But anyhow, I am waxing philosophical here for everybody, and that is not what you're all here for. You are here for astrology. Maybe I'm channeling a bit of Mars, Mercury too. Just stimulated thinking and speaking and just putting it out there, being a devil's advocate perhaps, which I'm sure I'll see in the comments section in some way or another. So my friends, that's enough about all of that. Let's look now at the 26th of January, this American time, American date, that this beautiful planet Uranus is turning direct. Let us begin with what it's going to bring for our Taurus friends. They get to go first. Where's my little doodaddy? Here we are. Okay. I'm set. Are you? Let's go. So Taurus is seeing Uranus turn direct in the first house, but Uranus rules in modern astrology the 10th house. So there might be some forward motion, some moving ahead with career for our Taurus people because of the rulership of Uranus of the 10th house. But this retrograde period has brought Taurus people to perhaps the point where they're like, they've changed their image. So during the Uranus retrograde, you might have really internalized that need for liberation and freedom and independence concerning your physical appearance. And so as Uranus turns direct, you might be like, that's it. I'm chopping all my hair off and I'm dyeing it hot pink. You go for something radical and new with the way you look. And you might be experiencing a big change to your image, and not just cutting your hair. That's what I did when I had Uranus through my first house, but could be anything. You might sort of have a change in your energy, it could be more vivacious, more rebellious, more going and joining the protests to try and change the world right now, more passionate about those things. You might be, throw out your old wardrobe and get a whole new wardrobe because, sick of wearing khaki army pants and I'm going to start wearing 50s rock and roll dresses or whatever it happens to be. So you have a big shift and a change to image, charisma, and where your, it's not passion, it's more where your convictions for truth lie. There's also a breaking free that happens when Uranus turns direct here. So you could be breaking free from something. It might be something to do with career, breaking free from an old boss or a tyrant authority figure, and you're like, I'm out of here, screw you. Or you could be breaking free from somewhere where you felt trapped, where you feel like you haven't been able to be truly yourself. It could be a relationship. Sometimes Uranus in the first house brings big changes to relationship that you yourself instigate, not coming from the partner, but coming from you. So you might be feeling, I need to break free from this relationship, and that could be a business partnership. It could be a client provider kind of situation, or it could be a marriage. You might just be looking for more experimentation with a relationship. Maybe it's been dry and dusty and you're feeling like this is just yawn material, this relationship. We don't grow, we don't change. This Uranus turning direct could really cause you to want to instigate some forward momentum and some change into your relationship. It brings rebelliousness and independence, and it's going to pull on you strongly, and you're going to more than any other sign almost, except for maybe Aries, more than any other sign except for maybe Aries, we're going to see that you might be very keen, Taurus, to protest, to get on board with some humanitarian cause or something that you feel very strongly about. And it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of momentum to get Taurus to, step out of their comfort zone, to upset the apple cart, so to speak, and get them sort of waving banners at a protest. But this could just be it. Uranus turning direct might get you, down the street, tooting your tractor horn alongside all the German farmers. So any changes that come along and now are going to be instigated by the self rather than outer circumstances. And so you are going to perhaps change your image, your allegiances, your passions, your relationships and stuff to feel more independent, to feel more aligned with who you truly are at your core. And that can sometimes bring ostracization from others. Oh, I always thought that, they'd be the good girl and just sit quietly while the protest went past and not get involved in that sort of thing. And so people are kind of like, who are they? Who do they think they are, heading up that protest? And I keep referring to that, but it's not just protest, it's anything. Who do they think they are, thinking that, they can leave their marriage? That's just not done. We don't do that in this community, and you're ostracized. I got divorced when Uranus, planet of divorce, went through my first house, and I was very ostracized. I lost every friend bar one that I'd ever had. And actually, I tell a lie, there's probably a handful of people, not immediate, like, you've got your circle of friends that's with you all the time, people that you hang out with week to week. I lost every one of those friends. But there are certain friends that have been my friends for years that have stood by me and are still my friends. But I was ostracized. Uranus, first house, that's the kind of thing that happens. You make a choice. You choose to stand in honor of yourself. You break free of a situation. You stand in your independence. Can see other people going, well, don't want to hang out with them anymore. Who do they think they are? Kind of thing. But you're willing to wear it because you feel free when you do that. Uranus brings freedom. You might be experiencing a sense of confusion or distrust from other people towards you, but you will be feeling your truth and you won't mind so much because freedom tastes so good. It tastes so good. It's worth it, my friends. Above all, it's going to be a liberating time for you that's going to make you more authentic in how you're living your life and your purpose and your meaning for being here on the planet. There might be sudden starts and sudden endings that come about as Uranus turns direct. That's just par for the course. Uranus it's like the electricity switch, boom. You turn it on and it changes that instant. Okay? The electricity runs to the light bulb immediately, and that's how fast change can happen with Uranus. You just know this is not for me anymore. I'm out of here. Goodbye. So sudden starts could even mean something exciting and wonderful coming into your life, and with Jupiter not far away, it could be some sort of a financial windfall or financial momentum moving forward, Taurus. Something comes into your life that feels philosophically right to you, morally right to you, ethically right to you. That's the Jupiter influence here. Sudden starts, sudden endings will come from this Uranus direct motion. And I just want to point out, for some of you, this transit can help liberate you from addiction and entrapment type situations, and you'll never, ever go back again. It is that clear cut. The switch is turned on, or perhaps a better analogy, the switch is turned off, and that switch is never touched again. You walk away. Free from addiction, free from feeling trapped in some way. You start a whole new life. You never go back. Very exciting for many of you Taurus friends. Thank you, Taurus. Now, who are we going to do next? Let's go to Aries, I think. We'll pop... Yes, I mentioned Aries in the Taurus reading. I actually meant... I meant Cancer people. But anyway, we'll sort that out when we get to Cancer. All right, my friends. Aries, rising, sun or moon. Well, this is putting Uranus turning direct in your second house. Woohoo! You have had 5 to 6 months of Uranus retrograding, holding things back in terms of feeling liberated materially in the world, and now he turns direct. You might suddenly find that you want to be free, and we all want to be free financially, of course. We want to get out of the system so that we're not, beholding to the way things are and the oligarchy and the powers that be, and we want to be free. Well, now it comes home more than ever for our Aries friends. You might be wanting an independent source of income. You might want to start freelancing with Uranus turning direct. So you might start looking into setting up your own business or starting your own consultancy. This is a very important time for that sort of thing to happen. I believe I started my astrology business when I had Uranus move into my second house, and that was my source of independent income out of the system. And God, it's been fabulous. I highly recommend it, especially for an Aries rising person. They tend to want to go their own way. So disruptions can come in now, disruptions to stability, because Uranus isn't a stabilizing energy. He's on again, off again, like an electricity switch. But when this happens, he's doing so to push you into new ways of making money or creating material stability for you. So you might feel destabilized. I'll give you a story of what happened to me. I through circumstances that were not my fault, I lost a job that I had. And I was 6 months without work, and I cashed in my life insurance to sort of keep my family, my three little kids at the time, afloat. And it was really tough. It was really, really tough. And I was not appreciative of Uranus's destabilizing influence, but it forced me to, as I just mentioned a moment ago, move into my independent source of income with my astrology business. And that was so empowering. I just can't tell you how fabulous it has been to have done that. And it got me through the pandemic, whereas prior to, the work I was doing prior to starting my astrology business, I would not have survived the pandemic at all. We would have been out on the streets, my family and I. So grateful for what Uranus was doing. It brought disruption into my life so that I got off my butt and made money on my own terms, in my own way, doing what I loved and giving meaning and purpose and authenticity to how I created stability financially for myself in my life. So if you find that there's some instability materially in your life, Aries, it's hard to live through, yes, but there's going to be method in Uranus's madness. It will set you up if you listen to it and if you respond by, looking for ways to make money, side hustle or something like that on your own terms, then it will set you up for the future. Uranus builds for the future, even if we can't see it at the time. Now, Uranus can also bring a more quirky value system. When he turns direct, you might suddenly start valuing things that are a little left of center, a little outside the box, I'll keep giving examples. When I had Uranus turn direct in my second house, I invested some money in shag paintings, which I love, but cartoon art is ruled by Uranus. And it's a very, it's not everybody's cup of tea. The shag paintings, it's very popular, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not your classical art, but it's a bit quirky, a bit unusual, a bit left of center. So you might find that what you value, what you want to invest your money in, is a little bit different than usual, a little bit edgy, a little bit maybe even bohemian, maybe even a little bit revolutionary. The art you're interested in, the culture that you immerse yourself in might be a little bit on the sort of the outer fringes of society rather than the mainstream. And hey, what's wrong with that? Mainstream, ugh, yuck, you'd want that anyway. So enjoy the variety and the unusualness that this transit can bring your life in terms of the culture you're surrounded by, the food you're eating, the art, the music that you're exposed to. Could be a lot of fun, my Aries friends, now that Uranus is direct. Moving along, Pisces rising, Pisces sun and Pisces moon. Uranus is turning direct now in the third house, my Pisces friends. And of course, Uranus rules in modern astrology the 12th house. So there might be some forward momentum with maybe some travel overseas, or forward momentum in being able to sort of escape the responsibilities of life. If you want to take a holiday. I'm actually planning a couple of days away as Uranus turns direct myself with Dave. We're going to go away for a weekend. Yay, perfect energy, some forward momentum with having a little holiday, a little mini break, that kind of energy. But mostly we're going to notice the direct Uranus motion in the third house. And this is when we might suddenly find ourselves waking up to some new hobbies, new interests, new skill sets that we might be developing. So, maybe you've always in the back of your mind thought, oh, I'd love to try wood burning. Wouldn't that be cool? And then I could do this and I could do that. And you've never actually done it. And then along comes Uranus turning direct in the house of skills. And somebody says, hey, I've got a wood burning machine. Come check it out. And you're like, wow, this is so cool. You have a crack and you're in. You're hooked. You want to learn that skill and put it to good use and start making, wood-burned goblets that you sell at the local market or something. Like really awakening to some sort of new skill set can happen with Uranus turning direct. Bright new ideas. Uranus in the third house by transit takes us to a brand new, fabulous heights of mental capacity. Uranus is a very mental planet. And here in the third house of our mental energy, we might find that we are just getting downloads from the divine for, creative ideas or new concepts or new ways of learning. New books might cross our path that are really, unusual and left of center. I've just done a video for my Patreon family all about the books I'm reading at the moment, and in Uranian transits of the third house, the books we read are going to be very astrologically focused and perhaps a bit metaphysical and esoteric as well. So you might have, sort of an awakening to some epiphany, some insight, some download, some goosebump giving aha moment might come your way as Uranus turns direct in the house of mental communication. And that includes communication from the divine or from your higher self speaking to you, giving you awareness. And of course, Pisces, Uranus governs the house of dreams for you as well. So don't be surprised if you have amazing dreams at the time that Uranus turns direct. Now, I'm feeling into this energy already because I'm highly Uranian by nature of my natal chart. And I don't dream all that much for a Pisces person, I've got to say. I really don't. But suddenly, boom, with Uranus about to turn direct, I'm suddenly getting all these amazing dreams. And I pay attention to my dreams. You must when you've got Uranus moving through the third house. Because Uranus, third house, ruling the 12th, can be giving you messages from the divine that you need to hear. So last night, I had a dream about snakes everywhere. I couldn't put my foot down for standing on a snake. And so what do we do when that kind of thing happens apart from freak out? I'm Australian and we don't see snakes in the most loving light. But no, you jump online and you look up what is the meaning of snakes in snake omens, snake totem. And there's your message from the divine right there. There's messages all around us if we have eyes to see. So bright new ideas, messages from the divine, aha moments, light bulb, boom, kind of moments that come to us. And we can find as Uranus turns direct that our mind might wake up to some sort of liberating truth. The veil is torn away and we see clearly, boom, oh my God, look at what's really happening in the world. Look at the true meaning behind this particular issue, or this person said something to me and I didn't understand it, but now Uranus turns direct and it's like penny drop. Oh, now I get what they were on about. We have an awareness, a mental clarity when Uranus turns direct here. Now, sometimes this is a transit that can bring us some unique associations, some unique connections, new friendship circles, workshops, groups that we connect with that feel really aligned with our true authentic self. Uranus is authenticity. Now, Uranus is a destabilizing influence. So sometimes when Uranus turns direct, we might have a difficulty with a neighbor or a sibling, a bit of a falling out. I must say, when Uranus first moved into my third house, I did have a falling out with my next door neighbor. And Uranus turning direct can bring that home to roost or give you that, might cause something like that to happen for some people. What happened with me, I'll just share my story. My children were quite little at the time, or younger at the time than they are now, and we wanted to celebrate Halloween, and Halloween's not really celebrated much in Australia, but I went up and down my street and I popped some chocolates in a little bag at the door of everybody's house and with a little note that said, when my children come trick-or-treating, could you please give them these lollies? You don't have to provide the lollies. I'll provide the lollies. I just want them to have that feeling of dressing up and it being special and Halloween. And my next door neighbours gave me a serve about, we don't do that, we don't believe in that, and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, not talking to you again, am I? So anyhow, that was that. So we can have difficulties with neighbours and with siblings, you know, just a bit of a miscommunication or misunderstandings, a bit of argy-bargy that can happen with Uranus turning direct in the house of siblings and neighbours, destabilising influence there. But one thing that can also happen is we can have enhanced occult or astrological interest. Uranus gives, you know, we've been pondering things inside for the last 5 months while he's been retrograde, and Uranus turns direct and boom, it's like, oh, sign me up for Kesenya's course straight away. I want to learn all I can about astrology from the perspective she teaches, or let me go buy this astrology book because my God, I just hungry for it now. Give me more astrology. I want to learn. Uranus in the third house of learning. No coincidences that I also launched the Royal Stars Academy when Uranus was moving direct last time through the was moving direct through Taurus, the third house, because it's about running workshops. It's about learning. And what's Uranus? Astrology. So perfect energy. Also at the moment, Jupiter, the great guru, the great teacher, is in the third house. Jupiter rules your sign, Pisces. So fabulous time for learning astrology and just taking in all that wonderful esoteric wisdom that is astrological studies. Come join me at the Royal Stars Academy and learn more. Thank you, Pisces. Enjoy. All right, Aquarius. Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun, and Aquarius moon people. Well, you guys, you know, in modern astrology, Uranus is the ruler of your sign. So you might find that there's more forward momentum in your life with your physical well-being, your body, your energy, your enthusiasm, your ability to assert yourself and live life on your terms authentically might start to take a step forward. You might get more momentum in that area of life because Uranus rules the first house. But where you'll mostly notice Uranus turning direct is in the fourth house. The fourth house is where with Uranus turning direct, you might be really inspired to move. You might be sick of where you're living. You might have been sick of where you're living for 5 months, and then Uranus turns direct and you're like, that's it. I'm out. Had enough of this joint and its leaky bathroom and moldy ceilings, and I'm gone. So Uranus turning direct can really see you change homes in a massive way, Aquarius. You might be living between two homes. You know, you might spend 6 months in one home and 6 months in the other, especially with Jupiter, which is a planet that rules duality, two signs, and also has the energy of many in this realm of the chart as well with Uranus. So suddenly you decide, that's it. I'm never having winter again. We're going to be 6 months in Australia and 6 months in Bulgaria. And so you spread your time between two places. Suddenly decide this sort of thing, or suddenly an offer comes your way of a home where you can sort of live in for 6 months of the year and then go back to your home for another 6 months. And so there's things that can happen. Uranus can surprise you with opportunities regarding where you live, the actual place, the bricks and mortar of where you live. If it's not anything like that, you might be finding, Aquarius, that you are inspired to renovate a home, to fix up a home, to make some changes to a home so that the home feels more liberating, lighter, brighter. You might be creating a balcony or a rooftop terrace so you have a view. Uranus wants a view. Uranus is the sky god and wants to see the sky. So you might be making some alterations to your home that allow you to get more perspective on view to the sky, view out to the ocean or the mountains or wherever it is you live. Making some big renovations so that you have a view could be a big part of what Uranus does when he turns direct. The thing is, Uranus is a fairly destabilizing energy, so you might be feeling very unsettled, not feeling very peaceful where you are. And of course, when we're renovating, it's not settled, it's not peaceful, it's crazy. When we're moving home, it's not settled, it's not peaceful, it's crazy trying to move home. Big issues there. So, you're going to be feeling a bit restless. expect that when Uranus turns direct. But it's really, when that happens, it's designed to sort of make us look around and make the changes needed so that we feel we're living more authentically wherever it happens to be. Like, this is me. This is where I belong. This feels like home. This feels right to me. But you never get there unless, you're getting the fire put in your belly to make a change. And that's what Uranus will do. So Uranus can bring liberation to your place of living, and also to your family life. If you have felt that you need to break free of a certain family situation, free from your mother's influence or an interfering mother-in-law, or, your father's domination or something like that, you're just feeling like, I need to break free, I need to break free, I need to break free. Here goes Uranus direct, and it's like, I'm breaking free. I'm out of here. Woo! So it really helps you liberate yourself with regard to family life as well. Now, that said, Uranus turning direct in the 4th house can have seen you for the past 5 months while he was retrograde, really internalizing, I'm not happy, I need to get out of this whatever situation. And when he turns direct, it's like, that's it, I'm gone. And that can include triggering divorce in the 4th house, or separation from family in some way. Now, it's not that way for everybody. There has to be other factors happening in your chart, Aquarius, that can be triggering this, that can be causing this. Maybe the full moon might be part of it this month, or maybe, you've got planets in the 7th house being activated or something like that, or, there's many, many things that need to happen to cause a divorce in a person's life. But Uranus in the 4th house, especially if it's making aspect to the descendant or the ascendant, is one of those things. So, my friends, this can bring liberation to a family situation, including a relationship, 2 parents deciding to separate. One of them says, I'm gone, and there's a change made to the family dynamic. But remember, my Aquarian friends, it brings liberation, it brings freedom, and it brings authenticity. And if you haven't been feeling that in your family situation, then this Uranus direct motion can trigger it, so that you feel like, that burden's rolled off my back. I feel free. And yes, I'm going to still be there for the people that need me, but I'm going to feel lighter and life feels better. Whatever that might look like, my friends. Not for everybody, but it may happen for some. Okay, thank you, Aquarius. Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun, Capricorn moon, people. Okay, you guys are having the direct motion of Uranus occurring in the 5th house. Now, Uranus rules in modern astrology your 2nd house. So you might notice that on this day, the 26th of January, you get some forward momentum regarding your resources and your finances, the ability to make money. The gears start to turn. You might have felt like you're in reverse for a few months there while Uranus was retrograding. But now that he's moving direct and in a lucky house like the 5th house too, suddenly you start to go forward, and maybe the money starts to flow a little bit easier. You feel a little bit luckier. You feel a bit more upbeat and joyful, and it attracts more money to you. Those sorts of things can happen. But while he's in the 5th house, what we're going to experience more than anything, Capricorn, is surprising romantic experiences. Now, that can happen whether you are married, whether you are single, whether you are, dating and in love, Romance can come from all sorts of places, when you least expect it. And that's why I said surprising. You might have been in a marriage for 30 years and you and your partner know each other like the back of your hand, and you think you know everything about that person. Lo and behold, one afternoon, you come home from work, maybe, I don't know, I'm thinking about that film, Fried Green Tomatoes. You're a guy, you come home from work and there's your wife standing in the doorway wrapped in glad wrap. And you're like, what? And she's got like the most amazing, bedroom set all laid out, for a bit of fun. And you're like, my God, where did this come from? Well, I tell you, it's coming from Uranus turning direct. Check out that film if you haven't done so already. I love it. It's a great film. I must watch it with David. surprising romantic experiences. You didn't see it coming, and there it is. Whether you're an old married couple, or whether you are, looking for love. Maybe I talked about this scenario many times, but there was an old advert for a deodorant, and if you wore this deodorant, then guys would rush up and give you flowers on the street, So, get your impulse deodorant out, and you never know what could happen when Uranus turns direct, my friends. Surprising romantic experiences, no matter who you are. That's one way this can manifest. For other people, Uranus turning direct can bring about a surprise conception of a child. And that's nice if it's something that you wouldn't mind happening in your life. If it's something that you thought was behind you, my friends, I've raised my kids and I'm done with that. Lo and behold, your kids are all 20, 24, 25, and then you're pregnant again. Oh my God. That's this kind of surprising Uranus energy in the 5th house of children. Can happen for some. Now, obviously, it's not going to happen for everybody, but it can happen, okay? So take extra precaution if that's something you would rather not see happen. You might have some surprising experiences with your children, Maybe you're an empty nester and your kids show up on the door all of a sudden. Hey, Mum and Dad, we can't afford our rent anymore, so we're moving home. And you're like, okay, Surprise, surprise, Mum and Dad. But some surprising interaction with your children can be on the cards, my Capricorn friends. Your children might surprise you, or your children might get very interested in astrology now that Uranus is turning direct. They might decide they're going to study astrology or some esoteric, methodology or wisdom. Do a deep dive into even things like science, which is ruled by Aquarius as well. And they all of a sudden are fascinated, watching every science documentary they can get their hands on. It can also really see you or your children or your lovers, all can manifest through the 5th house, becoming very, very interested in some sort of creative, quirky, artistic new hobbies and interests. The 5th house is the things we do for pleasure and joy, like our hobbies. And with Uranus going direct here, all of a sudden we might find that astrology is our new favorite hobby in the whole wide world. And we just can't get enough of astrology books. We're signed up to Kesenya's Royal Stars Academy course and we're loving it. Hello to all my new students out there who joined up this year. Fantastic, for learning Uranian things, to be in the house of genius and going direct, Uranus going direct in the house of genius. But it's also a house where, you might suddenly be inspired to write something, to write the next great novel. Or you might be inspired to do some sort of quirky cartoon art or something like that. As is the nature of Uranus. So, creative interests. You might even be getting back in touch with your the things you loved to do as a child. This is our childlike heart is the 5th house. And the things that we loved, especially when we were sort of 10, 11 and 12. And Uranus can suddenly bring, that passion back for you. And you all of a sudden, you're playing with Barbie dolls again and making glamorous dresses for them the way you did when you were 11. That's what I used to do when I was about 10 or 11. I would make sort of catwalk, supermodel type outfits for my Barbie dolls to wear. It was so fun. But this is it. This is the house of fun. Uranus can surprise you by taking you back to your childhood and experiencing that fun again. And you feel free when you do. You feel liberated. You feel alive when you do. So don't fight it. Give in. Enjoy, Capricorn. This is the joy of living is found in the 5th house. And the more we suppress it and sweep it under the rug, the more crusty and cranky we can become as human beings. We've got to let out our joy. And Uranus is turning direct in your 5th house to help allow that to happen. Thank you, Capricorn. All right, Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun or moon people. Uranus is turning direct, my friends, in your 6th house, but Uranus rules the 3rd house. So you might notice that this week when Uranus turns direct, suddenly you feel more momentum, more excitement, more enthusiasm for your health. Sorry, not for your health, for third house things. For writing. You might want to join a workshop group. You might want to learn more astrology. You know, Uranus rules astrology. Third house is to learn new things. Come and join the Royal Stars Academy. Why not? And so you get fired up about learning. You might be writing a new book or a journal article. You might be, inspired suddenly to buy a ton of books and start reading them. There's a real forward momentum with what Uranus rules in modern astrology, which is the third house. Now, that said, mostly the focus of Uranus is going to be felt in the sixth house. And this is a time, Uranus turning direct can cause you to start losing weight because there's forward momentum with sixth house things, which is health, well-being, diet, exercise, all that sort of thing. It pays to watch your health while Uranus moves direct, but you will be more attuned, more inspired to eat healthy, live healthy, get on track with things like that. But Uranus in the house that has to do with daily routine can really shake things up. You might think, I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock every morning and I'm going to go for a walk and then I'm going to get to work and blah, blah, blah. And you've got all your plans well laid out, and Uranus wakes you up at 6 o'clock one morning and it's pouring rain outside. You're not going for a walk. It's just raining cats and dogs out there. And so what are you going to do instead? Well, you get up and you have your coffee and then you think you're going to, just go to work. Lo and behold, there's a train strike and you can't catch the train. And so you call into work and there's like, oh, look, the trains are all broken down. The train lines aren't running. Can you work from home today? And, this is Uranus. He's shaking up what you think you're going to do day to day. Don't put too much, don't cling to that because it might just change. Uranus in the house of routines isn't going to let it be stable and secure. And so it pays, my beautiful Sagittarius friends, which you are, it pays for you to be flexible. It pays for you to just go with the flow, be where, the universe puts you, and just be present there. Enjoy, do what you got to do, and don't get too hung up on it. There might be sudden changes to your work life as well now that Uranus is turning direct. And I'm so excited because David has some Sagittarius in his chart and he needs some forward momentum with his work life. So bring it on, Uranus turning direct. Can't wait. Also, it could mean that in regards to your career or your health or your daily routines, which are all connected to sixth house things, you might receive some sort of bright new innovations or aha moments, angels singing la when you have a realization. So sudden epiphanies, sudden new ideas, sudden new directions that could come, that could, be just what you need in terms of work life or just what you need to know how to fix a health issue. You read an article in the doctor's surgery about some health condition that you've got and you're like, that's it. That's the answer. Cha-ching, and away you go. You start living your new routine with whatever it is that you've read about, new health kick, and it's just doing wonders. So sudden insights, changes, new direction with pretty much the everyday ordinary things we need to do to survive and thrive. Have a healthy life, eat a healthy diet, get plenty of rest, do our work well, have a good routine. Uranus can absolutely set us free and liberate us from any problems. And I love that. In fact, I love Uranus in the sixth house. The sixth house is problems and difficulties. And what does Uranus do? He liberates. He sets us free. You Saggy people, what a great transit to be experiencing. Uranus through the sixth house. You're going to change all your problems with debt, all your problems with difficult people holding you back and stomping on your confidence, enemies, people who don't have your best interest at heart. You are going to turn those, health issues, you're going to turn them around. By the time Uranus leaves Taurus in 2025-26, you are going to solve a lot of problems in your life, my friends. So very, very exciting. And this Uranus direct motion is just a part of that when you start to liberate yourself a little bit more with regards to the problems of life. Bring it on. Thank you, Saggy friends. Okay. Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun and Scorpio moon people. Uranus, whoo, in your 7th house. And aren't you having fun with that transit, my friends? Uranus happens to, in modern astrology, rule the 4th house. 4th house is family. Fourth house is the place of living. Fourth house is your emotional well-being. And with Uranus turning direct now, that means you might feel more forward momentum with your ability to be happy, to be satisfied, to be content in life. You might even feel some forward momentum with your family life now, like things are moving instead of feeling stuck and stagnant. You might even be feeling like, regarding home, where you live, right, I can really make changes now. I can really move ahead to be where I want to be, to live how I want to live. Fourth house. But the real area where you're going to notice the changes that Uranus turning direct will be in the seventh house. And so this is a time for the next 6 to 7 months as Uranus moves direct here, where someone might enter into your life to shake you out of a rut. You might meet somebody who absolutely turns your life on its head and you're never the same again. And you're just like, wow, you know, I remember a transit that caused that to happen to me. And it just, I can't even find the words to explain how it changed my life. I thought my life was heading in this direction. This person came in and suddenly my life was going like that. I couldn't believe it. And I look back now and I still can't believe it. I still scratch my head at going, what was that all about? But it absolutely changed my life. Somebody comes into your life and the life you thought you were living turns out in a year's time to not be that life at all. So naturally this brings massive change to relationships, but not relationships that this is not change to relationship that you instigate. You don't have the power and the control here, Scorpio. I hate to say it. You probably want it, but you don't have it. The changes that come to a relationship now come from outside of you, come from the other person. So sometimes Uranus turning direct can mean that your partner says, I'm done with this. I'm not feeling this anymore. I've been feeling stuck for years. I'm gone. It could happen that, your partner says, I'm bored. Can we do something to bring more excitement and exhilaration to our relationship? Because this is Yawn City. I don't want to be here. So let's make some change. Relationships change in a dynamic way. They end instigated by the partner, or your partner wants change, wants to experiment, wants to try something new, try to shake things up a little bit. Or someone comes into your life and it turns everything on its head. So this could be personal relationships, but it could also be work relationships, business relationships, friendship relationships. But no matter the relationship, it's going to happen fast and almost instantaneous. It's going to be life-changing. And that's just what Uranus does. Now, this is particularly true if Uranus is crossing your descendant degree. So he's at 19 degrees. And if you've got, your descendant degree, say 19, 20, 21 degrees, then you'll feel this very strongly and the change will come. I can only encourage you, Scorpio, to not cling. You're a fixed sign. There is a tendency to want to, I've got the power and I'm not letting it go. Don't do that. It will just make things so bad. Be open-handed and say, whatever you've got for me, universe, I receive it. And whatever needs to go so that I can be more liberated, that's the purpose of Uranus, can be more liberated and authentic and real, then I receive it. So flow as best you can. When we fight the planets, we just end up in more misery. Who are we to think that we, as a little tiny human being on Earth, can overrule the energy of a heavyweight like Uranus? Know that what Uranus is trying to do is to set you free, to help you live a more authentic life, to help you be in your truth. Why would you fight that? Why would anyone fight that? Isn't that a better way to live rather than to be suffering under the burden of unhappiness and inauthenticity? So it can be hard. I'm not trying to belittle it, but it can be very hard to live, through an upheaval of relationships. Uranus is a very destabilizing influence, and it can be hard. But know that it will happen quickly, like ripping off a Band-Aid. You rip it off quickly, and you don't mind so much that way. But this is not fated, but this is necessary for your growth, essentially. Now, long-distance relationships, I have to say, Scorpio, can also be common. If you're single, you might find that someone comes into your life, shakes you out of a rut, but They're living on the other side of the planet. Well, Dave and I were able to get things together, despite our long distance, living apart from one another for 2 years, and that was our get to know you time. Long distance relationships can happen when Uranus gets involved in things, or if you're highly Uranian people. But on again, off again relationships can also happen too. So, you might meet somebody, they help change your life, turn your life around, and then they're gone. And that's it. The relationship's over. So that can be another way this can manifest. There can also be some breaking of relationship taboos with Uranus turning direct. What do I mean by that? Your partner wants to experiment. They want to get, try new things that they've never tried before. Well, look, I'm not just talking sexually. Maybe they say, you know what? I don't want to have to live in the same house. I want to have a relationship with you. You're the love of my life, but I also need some space. I'm going to go rent my own place, and you can have, the place we've been renting, and we'll live in 2 separate places, and, let's be a couple, but not live under the same roof. Well, not that that's taboo, but it's not common. Like, it's not the mainstream way of doing things. And that's what Uranus often does. It goes the alternative route with things. So yeah, it can mean kinky relationships, but it can also mean just, not doing the mainstream relationship thing, but doing something really different. And why not? Why not? As long as no one's harmed or getting hurt and both people are in agreement, why not? Anyhow, Scorpio, that's the gist of Uranus turning direct this week in your chart. Moving along, Libra rising, sun and moon people. Uranus is turning direct in your 8th house. But in modern astrology, Uranus rules the 5th house. So you might find, Libra, that there's sudden forward momentum with love, with your children, with your hobbies and the things that really give you happiness and joy and pleasure in life. You might even find this week things feel a bit more lucky for you. You're on that winning streak. Uranus ruling the 5th house in your 8th house. You might even get a windfall. Let's hope. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that myself. Might have to go visit the Tats Lotto shop. But anyhow, Libra, where we're really going to feel the energy of Uranus turning direct is the 8th house. Even though he rules the 5th, it's the 8th house that we're going to feel things. So a bit like what I was just talking about, guys, Uranus turning direct can bring some sort of sudden inheritance, some, lucky support from the universe, I'm preparing for a wedding at a later stage this year. And, I need to have a chat to my uncle about, utilizing some resources that he has for the purposes of this particular wedding. And I might just do it when Uranus turns direct, because I know I'm going to get more support from other people and other people's resources at this time. They're going to come to the party. So why not work with this energy? If you need to ask somebody for, maybe a loan or to borrow a few things or whatever, do it when Uranus goes direct, guys. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Some of you might have some sudden inheritance, something lands in your lap, Your aunt rings you up out of the blue and says, oh, that Singer sewing machine that you were looking for a couple of years ago, I found it down the back of the shed, and you know what, I think you should have it. You're into the sewing, and it's all yours. And I'm like, I hope that's what happens, That's an actual scenario that hasn't played out yet, but maybe I've just put that out in the universe, and maybe it will for me when Uranus turns direct. Suddenly receiving something, sudden inheritance. You kind of weren't looking for it, although I am now, obviously. You're kind of not looking for it, and it lands in your lap. Uranus is a very destabilizing influence, even though he's most at home in the 8th house, or the 8th and the 11th house particularly. But I have to say, and I would be very remiss if I didn't sort of list every possibility, but Uranus could bring a sudden bankruptcy as well, sudden loss of resources for some people. You'd have to be pretty unlucky, Libra, because he rules the 5th house of luck and blessings. So I do have to mention it, but you'd have to be, going through a really crappy dasher period, probably in a really awful perfection year as well, that's just not doing any favors, and a really shit solar return. So you'd have to have the whole world against you, which is not often the case. I'll just point out, we often think, oh, I've got the worst chart in the world, and oh, it really sucks. No, you don't. No, you don't. Very rarely has anyone got like the chart from hell, you know. In fact, I've never seen anyone with a horrific chart. You know, there is cycles that bring potential and opportunity, and then there's cycles that bring sort of like a downturn to everybody's chart. Nobody's immune from that. We all have our malefic planet influences and our positive benefic planet influences. So please don't think that you've got a chart that sucks. But for some people, they may have some sudden loss when Uranus turns direct here, because that's let's face it, the point of Uranus transits is to lead us to more authenticity, to be living a more authentic life, a true life, and not be caught in, pretentiousness, wearing a mask, putting on that show for the world. No, Uranus wants us in our truth. And if he can't get our attention by doing something favorable, he'll get our attention to make us do so by doing something unfavorable. I spoke about for the Aries people, when Uranus was in my second house, I lost my job, couldn't find a job for 6 months. In the end, it led me to starting my astrology business. Like, not starting it, I'd actually been doing my astrology business for a long time, but really taking it to the next level where it was my own singular source of income instead of a side hustle. So, that happened because I went through a loss of resources and a loss of a job. And so, if I'm talking about bankruptcy, it's going to kick you into gear with something that you should have been doing for ages, something that is about your authenticity and about you being in your truth. Okay? Now, it's a great time, Uranus turning direct in your 8th house, for quitting bad habits and making significant life changes. Here, in such a psychological house, you can really turn your psychological hang-ups around and set you free. Uranus wants to set you free. So you're set free from, perhaps some sort of addiction to smoking, or some sort of poor me, I'm a victim attitude that's really holding you back in life, self-sabotage. You can make really great progress with life changes that happen very deeply on an internal level now. Very exciting. It's also a good time when Uranus turns direct to invest in Uranian things, electronics, alternative politics, the internet, and of course astrology. How do we invest in astrology? Well, astrology is best used by the individual. If you've ever thought about studying astrology, my God, Uranus turning direct in your 8th house, now is the time. Invest in that. Invest in your own soul growth through understanding and utilizing astrology, my friends. You can't go wrong. Come join me at the Royal Stars Academy. Thank you, Librans. Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon. Lucky Virgos having Uranus turn direct in your 9th house, a house of blessing. But you know what? Uranus in the modern astrology sense rules your 6th house. And so you might find, Virgo, that there's a bit of forward momentum now in your life on the 26th of January when Uranus turns direct, with health, with your daily routines, and with sorting out problems. Uranus gives you the energy, the movement. You might have felt stuck in some problem, or stuck in some feeling of ill health, or stuck in some debt that you haven't been able to shake for the last 5 months while Uranus has been retrograde. And now he turns direct, and it's like, let's get rid of that debt. Shake that off my back like the monkey off my back. Get rid of that health condition. You find the answer, you find the solution. So you might find that life takes some really valuable forward steps now. But more than anything, you're going to feel Uranus's forward momentum affect your 9th house. And this can bring changes to a relationship with a father figure. Because in Vedic astrology, the 9th house is connected to father figures. The people who are guides for life, or should be, our benefactors and inspirations, gurus are seen through the 9th house. So there can be changes and even destabilizing of our relationships with such people at the time Uranus turns direct. There can also be, Uranus is destabilizing influence, so there can be changes to education, particularly higher education. Maybe you thought you got into a certain university course and you're about to start that university course, and they contact you and say, I'm sorry, we haven't had enough enrollments in this course, we're going to have to shut it down. And you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I thought this was going to be my new career. I was going to go down this road and I've rented a house in the right city and now the whole department's shut down. What the heck, you know? Disruptions, Uranus, to education. Keep in mind when things like that happen as a result of Uranus's redirectioning, usually what's going on is Uranus is trying to push you into something that's better for you. Something where you're going to feel more authentic, more liberated, and more in your truth. So if that happens, I would consider that maybe that university course wasn't the right place for you to be, and that you need to look at something else, or you need to, look further afield. So keep that in mind. There can be, it's a really good time to study and learn some sort of higher level Uranian type topic. That could be science, metaphysics, alternative inventions and innovations. Study those sorts of things. Astrology, number one, really. Uranus rules astrology, and in the ninth house. Oh my God, Virgo, if you're not studying astrology or at least buying an astrology book every now and again, you're not really utilizing this energy to its full capacity. Get into it, guys. Come join me at the Royal Stars Academy. Uranus energy in the ninth house. It can be a very good transit, a transit that brings blessing for anybody who's working in Uranian fields. Maybe you're in alternative politics, or maybe you're working in science, or big networks. You're working on the internet perhaps, or looking at inventions and creating new gadgets for the world, or progressive architecture, that kind of stuff. If you're working in a Uranian forward visionary kind of field, then this Uranus direct motion can bring success into that field. If you're feeling stuck, you shouldn't be, as Uranus turns direct. Maybe during retrograde you might have been feeling stuck, but as Uranus turns direct, you shouldn't really be feeling like you're stuck in life. However, if you are, I would suggest jumping on a plane and going to a foreign country. Go visit some different culture, and that can really shake that energy up and change it as you might need. Also, studying something can also bring that shift and that change that needs to happen as well. You might find in this house of blessing that things might manifest to your favor quite suddenly or out of the blue in a way you didn't expect, in a way you didn't see coming. And that can be such a gift when that happens. Who doesn't like pleasant surprises, my friends? The last thing I'll mention is that this is the house of second life partnership. And Uranus turning direct here can see somebody come into your life who can change your life significantly as your second life partner. But be warned, unless Saturn's involved in some way, maybe you've got Saturn in the ninth house, or you're having a Saturn transit to, your seventh house lord or something like that. Unless Saturn's doing something, then it is unlikely that this Uranus transit will be with you, will bring somebody in for the long term. They're more likely to come and sort of liberate you and set you free. That's if you're looking for a second committed life partnership, my beautiful Virgo friends. Thank you, Virgo. Moving on to lovely Leo. Leo rising, Leo sun, Leo moon. Well, guess what? Uranus rules your seventh house of partnership. And with Uranus turning direct, and in modern astrology ruling the seventh house, it can mean that you have a lot of forward momentum now with relationships. Relationships start to go well. They feel refreshed. They feel truthful. They feel real to you, Leo. You feel alive in your relationships now that Uranus is turning direct. And of course, who wouldn't want to feel that? That's tremendous. But the thing is, the area we're most going to feel this Uranian influence is in the 10th house. It can bring big changes in career. You might start a job that feels authentic and real and true to you. Now, I started a part-time job or a 0.6 job just this week. And I feel like coming home. It just feels like, oh my gosh, I remember this, it's working for local government. I haven't done that for about 18 years. Cycle of eclipses. There we are. But anyhow, I feel and because I'm highly Uranian, I tend to feel into these Uranian influences just a little before they occur. And we're a week out. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling like, this feels freeing. This feels liberating. I feel like I'm home, This is me. Uranus conjunct my moon, making me feel like I'm at home when there is, in this case, a liberating career. And so this is wonderful. I feel solid. Uranus can do that. It can bring you into a place where you feel your authentic self, like you feel you're being real to yourself. You're, in my case, coming home to yourself in a way. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to do astrology. I absolutely am. I can juggle both, my friends, and they're both true to me. And I've got a dual sign in my 10th house by nature. I've got Sagittarius. It's a dual sign, so I've got to have 2 jobs, 2 careers. Lucky me. But this Uranus direct motion for my Leo sun sign, and for you, if you're rising or you're a sun sign or a moon sign yourself, it's the same deal. You will create, with Uranus moving direct, a career that's authentic to you, that feels real to you, that feels like coming home to you. Now, some people, if they're stuck in a job and it doesn't feel like it's them, and they're like, this job sucks, they're going to be like, you can take your job and shove it. Uranus direct is going to make you so desperate for meaning and purpose that you'll be like, I'm quitting. I'm changing jobs. And I would just encourage you, before you go diving in, boots and all, make sure there's something else to go to. These are volatile times. These are crazy times, my friends. Let's act with caution and wisdom, despite Uranus's desire to sort of flick the switch on things. Let us be wise so we'll have no regrets. And I would just encourage you to do your due diligence first. But I do believe Uranus turning direct for many people will see a career change on the horizon very near, as you build a new dream career that is more authentic to you. Some people might receive a very quick rise to fame. It might even be something of a YouTube sensation with Uranus going direct. Now, I've got to say, I was astounded at how well my YouTube video last week went. Maybe this is feeling into this Uranus direct energy too. I certainly did not see the success of that video coming. It was a surprise. So, yay. Thank you, everybody. But yeah, that's what we might see. Suddenly, oh my gosh, look at me go, all of a sudden, all that work, it's all paying off. Quick rise to fame, perhaps, or quick opportunity for world recognition, public recognition that comes, Uranus direct. Some of you people might be very inspired to become some sort of a revolutionary leader with an increased social stature. Uranus, as we know, is the ultimate rebel. Here in the 10th house, this most visible house, some of you Leo people are going to stand up and be counted now. And that's a good thing. Maybe that's why I have that spiel, that rant at the beginning of this video. Leo, we are leaders. We are kingly Leo energy. We've got to use it, my friends. I just want to encourage you, if you feel passionately about something, get out there, jump on your soapbox. Uranus direct, it's time. It's time for changing the world. Let's do it. Nothing's going to happen if we don't. So Uranus direct in the 10th house for Leo people can see you moving, taking big strides forward actually in some sort of leadership position, and maybe even bringing some sort of revolutionary blessing to the world. Thank you, lovely Leos. Okay, Cancer rising, Cancer sun and Cancer moon people. Well, my Cancer friends, you are having, and I'm excited about this, you are having Uranus turning direct in your 11th house. But Uranus in modern astrology rules the 8th house. So you're going to feel, firstly, a bit of forward momentum in life with regard to 8th house things. And that might mean the ability to receive from others. Maybe you felt really when it comes to material goods, really on your own, really sort of burdened with having to provide and supply life's needs and necessities of your own accord. And sometimes that can be bloody hard. Well, here goes Uranus Direct ruling the house of other people's resources, and you might get offers of assistance and blessing and encouragement and support from left, right, and center. Momentum, forward motion for Cancer rising people with Uranus turning direct and ruling the 8th house. But where you're really going to feel this most is in the 11th house, my friends. If you are feeling stuck, Uranus turning direct is going to give you the opportunity to shake things up by becoming a mentor to other people. You're a benefactor in the 11th house, here. Or maybe you're given the opportunity to join a particular political movement or some sort of inspirational movement, and it really shakes you out of a rut. Maybe you have felt like you've been speaking up for the last 5 months while Uranus has been retrograde, and nobody's listening. Nobody's hearing what you've had to say, and it's been important. And it's so relevant to what's going on in the world, and nobody's listening. Uranus turning direct, my friends, don't stop speaking up. The time has come. The time has come, and people are going to hear. And not just one or two people, but, wide networks, big networks of people are going to hear your message. You will be a source of inspiration. You can be somebody who is, passionate about a political movement or a particular issue in the world. And if you heard my soapbox little rant at the beginning of this reading, my friends, then you'll know that this is actually really important. What a time to be alive, my Cancer friends. We've got to change the world. It's going down the toilet fast, and it's up to us to make a change. So don't be afraid to speak up. You've got Uranus in the 11th house supporting you and empowering you now. Now, something a bit closer to your external reality that's at hand might be that you might experience a bit of destabilization, Uranus energy, with friendships. So you might find that there's a bit of volatility in your friendships. Maybe some people are having disagreements with you. But what it's going to do is make you more authentic and real in your friendships. Uranus in the house of friendships doesn't want you with fake friends. Doesn't want you to be surrounded by people who are nice to your face and they're stabbing you in the back behind closed doors. It doesn't want you to be in that circumstance. So any changes that come to friendships are actually necessary changes to help you be in relationships, friendship relationships that are more real, more authentic, and more right. So receive what the universe has to offer, allow it in, because it's going to take you to a better place ultimately. Changes in friendships can be likely when Uranus turns direct. There can also be changes to earnings. The 11th house is the second from the 10th, and so it represents what we earn from what we're putting out in the world. And I have one particularly close Cancer person in my life who's been consistently putting out their offering to the world for quite some time and seeing very little, very little reward for that. And I think with Uranus turning direct, suddenly the rewards can come in. You might be, that you're not even, a bit like me with my YouTube video last week. You put it out there and you didn't expect it, but oh my God, it's blown up. It's gone great, That's what I mean. You can get earnings that, you've been consistently giving, and then boom, this week Uranus turns direct and suddenly you get the rewards that you've been looking for all along. So yay, keep at it, keep consistency. Now Cancer, you're an energy that ebbs and flows, like the tides that your ruling planet rules. Moon rules ins and outs. And life for a Cancer person is very much the tide comes in, it's wonderful, life is good, the tide goes out. Okay, deep breaths, we can get through this. Tide comes in, everything's good again. That is just the ebbs and flows of life as a Cancer strong person, I'm afraid. But the more consistency that you can bring to the world, consistently putting like a video out on YouTube every week, consistent, then when Uranus turns direct, the rewards come in, the rewards hit, because you've been consistent. Consistency is key, and it's something you need to consciously activate in your life. And I say this, I just reiterate and underline this for Cancer people, because The most consistent planet is the Sun, which rules your second house of money and resources. If you want resources in life, you've got to be consistent. So Cancer, practice consistency. Uranus turning direct in your 11th house can see the rewards of consistency unfolding. The rewards of your efforts in the world coming home to roost. Very, very exciting in that sense for many Cancer people. Now, also Cancer, there can be inspirations that come your way suddenly. Friendships with like-minded people can just bring opportunities, blessing, financial rewards now. You might even find that certain mentors or, people with a authority in the world can sort of, put their hand up. Let's say people with big followings, for example. Somebody's got a big podcast following or whatever, and they reach out to you, Uranus Direct, and they say, hey, I've got a big network, 11th house, I want you to be on my podcast, let me interview you. Hello, Cancer. It all starts to fall into place, all starts happening. So inspirations and opportunities can come now through people who've got big networks, they think like you, they're your friends or they're friends of a friend, they're part of the web of networks that you know, and blessing can come through that. So I'm excited for Cancer people. This is actually, could be potentially quite a life-changing directional movement of Uranus. All right, Cancer, thank you. Now, Gemini, you've waited till last. Bless you. Bless your little cotton socks. Gemini, Uranus is turning direct in your 12th house. But Uranus rules in modern astrology your 9th house. So this means that this week, as Uranus turns direct, you might be feeling more forward momentum with 9th house things. It might be easier to travel overseas or immerse yourself into some other culture. It might be, you might suddenly find that, your ability to get a visa or an international passport goes easier. Those sort of big legal arrangements, that we need to relocate or travel, they start to flow a bit better. With ease now. You might also find that connections with father figures just feel better. Uranus is giving momentum to the 9th house, and just life feels a bit more blessed, a bit more like the wind's in your sails with Uranus, ruler of the 9th house, going direct. But where you're going to feel it most strongly is in the 12th house and pertaining to 12th house things. I feel for many Gemini people, you're going to break free. You're going to break out of a rut because the 12th house is very much connected to leaving the past behind so you can move into a new beginning. Uranus, his whole transit here, which takes 7 years, and we're going to reach the end of it in 2025, 26. Uranus here wants to get you out of bondage, out of isolation, and free you from somewhere where you are self-sabotaging and holding back. And so this direct motion of Uranus is a part of that process. Step you forward, breaking you out of some isolated situation in life or somewhere where you felt stuck. This is really going to set you free. So exciting times in that regard. It can also mean, Uranus turning direct here, that Gemini, part of your responsibility is to help others break out of addiction, break out of bondage, break out of isolation, break out of restriction in life and set them free. So, if you know people who are in difficult situations, Uranus turning direct might be giving you opportunities to help those people, to lift them up. This is a very compassionate house, the 12th house. And being compassionate is one way to work with 12th house energy to its best. Uranus direct here is going to, I feel, bring opportunities for you to help liberate other people, set people free, and do great things for others, maybe as a part of your karma, maybe as a part of unraveling some karmic loop in your own life through helping others and being kind to others. Some of you might really set yourself free. You may not realize this, but you might really set yourself free from past life influences. The 12th house has to do with the past. So it can be past life, or it can even be this lifetime. If you like me and you're sort of heading towards half a century, well, it might be that, your first 25 years is something you need to break free from in that first quarter of life. What is it that you need to break free from? What self-sabotaging attitudes and behaviors exist in your life as a result of early childhood experiences? Well, Uranus is turning direct now to shake you out of that rut, to set you free, to liberate you from personality traits that are not for you. You know, it's so interesting. It's because of another transit that I'm going through this, but lately I've just been in a situation where it's caused me to reminisce about where I was 18, 20 years ago. And in doing so, I see myself through a new lens. I'm saying, my gosh, you know, I was so small-minded, or such a different person back then, and how I've grown. And that sets me free, you know. I would beat up on myself because I wasn't this or I wasn't that and whatever. And I look back and say, no, you were just young. You were naive. You didn't know about life. And now, looking back, realizing those things, I can set myself free from the condemnation and the guilt that I might have felt. So Uranus, and that's coming from a different transit, but it's the same gist that this energy brings. Bursting out of past life memories, setting yourself free from past experiences that have caused you to condemn yourself. So I find this probably one of the most profoundly exciting transits, because you are going to liberate the soul. And isn't that why we incarnate? So that we can mature the soul, we can move more towards enlightenment. What a powerful time for Gemini people. On a more practical note, Uranus going direct can bring a few more sleep disruptions. So, you know, you might like to have some strategies for how to wake up at 3 a.m. How do you calm yourself back into sleep? You know, how do you find that relaxation point again? You know, it could be having some white noise in the room, or, you know, having your favorite pillow handy, making sure that you're not too hot, not too cold, you know, whatever works for you to help get the best sleep possible. Do have some methods and some strategies up your sleeve, because you could be feeling a little bit restless, a little bit, you know, energized in your dreams and so forth with Uranus turning direct here. You'll probably be having some quite powerful dreams too with Uranus direct. Could be even past life memories surfacing, so that you can liberate yourself from them. So if that happens, it might be worth keeping a dream journal, my Gemini friends. And that's about it for the wrap up for the All Signs breakdown. What an exciting energy. Leave some comments in the comment section about what happened for you. We can learn from each other's experiences, and it's great to be part of this YouTube family. I'll catch you next week with another video, my astro friends.